All right, did not participate. Crowder, ankle. Laval, calf. Peterson, shoulder. Richardson, knee, shoulder. Thompson, ribs. Williams, thumb, shoulder. Nicholson, neck, hip. Limited were lumbar. Shin, Sheriff, knee. Bibbs, shoulder. Anderson, knee. Reed, neck. Everybody else is full.
Jay, first, before we get to Clinton-Dix, Monte's status, what would you say about it? I mean, is it something you're concerned about, or is it just like is he going to be back out there tomorrow maybe?
I will see. He just had a small procedure on his hip, which is normal, which shouldn't hopefully keep him out very long. He's just a little sore today. We'll gauge how he feels tomorrow and hopefully get him ready.
And then what can you say about Clinton-Dix getting him yesterday?
Yeah, it was an opportunity to get a great player, and Ha Ha's proven the fact that he's a good player, great player actually over the course of his career, and came available to us, and Bruce in the front office pulled the trigger and got him in here. Now it's our job to get him acclimated to the defense and add him to the mix of a good safety group.
Do you expect him to be ready to go?
Yeah.
Sunday?
I expect him to be ready to go, yeah.
I had a couple more injury questions, if you don't mind. Dunbar, do you have a feel for whether he's on the right track to get back?
He's on the right track for sure. He did a little bit more today. I think he's progressing. So hopefully tomorrow he can do a lot more, and we'll have a better gauge for where he is. But as usual, after we have a good day of work, we'll see how he feels tomorrow after running on it today.
Yeah, I think you mentioned Jordan Reed. Was that something from the game?
Yeah, he just got his neck's a little sore. We got them out a little bit today.
Okay, last one, I promise. Trent with the thumb. Do you have a feel for how that's?
I don't have a feel for that one at all. He's it's really sore right now. Hopefully the swelling calms down a little bit. Get him in something he can play in, and we'll see how it goes.
How do you think Ha Ha pairs with DJ, and have you kind of spent a lot of time yet on what kind of roles those guys could have and how Monte could still be involved?
Yeah, I think we'll figure out the roles now. I think the big thing is to get Monte in the building, Ha Ha in the building, teach them our defense, our terminology, see how far we can get them along, up to speed, and we'll go from there. And we'll figure out how Monte's doing health-wise. But to add him with that group with Monte and obviously DeShazer and DJ and Ladler, it's a good thing.
Would you anticipate once Ha Ha's up to speed and Monte is healthy that those three all play in different roles, or is it going to be Clinton-Dix and Swearinger and Monte as the backup?
Hey, we'll see what happens. Like I said, this is the first time we've really had a chance to see him in person, other than watching him on film playing against him. I know Minuski and Torian have never had any time seeing him or working with him. So let's just see how it goes. We'll take it day by day, but I really imagine that he'll be up to speed quickly. We'll find a role for him.
Was the trade to go get Ha Ha increased because of the situation with Monte, or did you guys want to go get Ha Ha regardless?
You know what? I think we heard he was available, and calls were made, and discussions were had, and we made a decision to go get him. It wasn't because of this or anything. It was a chance to get a great player, to be honest with you. And whatever position that is, if you can add a good player to your football team, you have to do it. I know he's, his contract is what it is, but he can really help us this year. That's an important thing.
Jay, when you look at the passing attack, statistically they're pretty far out ahead of where you guys are. What do you see as the biggest difference between where they're at, where you are? Is it just personnel? They're making more key plays. What do you see as the biggest difference in the passing games right now?
Who, Atlanta?
Yeah.
Well, they've got a core group of receivers and a quarterback's been together for a little bit, with the exception of the rookie from Alabama, Mo Sanu and obviously Julio, been together for a while, and they got good chemistry together, so that makes a big difference. We're focusing a little bit more on the running game. We probably have a lot more rushing attempts and more rushing yards than they do, so I'd like to compare that stat. So it's just different ways to attack, and they do a great job with their play-action game. Their keepers, and obviously they're down the field passing, their drop backs. So it'll be another great challenge for us, like every week will be. But guarding against Julio and Ridley and Mo Sanu and Matt Ryan, it'll be a tough task. But always the key is getting after the quarterback.
With Ha Ha, obviously he's a good player in his own right, but the fact that he knows Swearinger and they go back, how much of a factor was that, just the ability that they can kind of jump in, have that chemistry right away? Yeah,
it wasn't a factor at all, really. I think the only factor was we have a chance to add a good player to our team, and that was it. We'll worry about who plays where, when, and how later, but let's get them in the building, teach them the system, and try to get them in somehow, some way.
Jay, due to his contract situation, is this kind of an action that, hey, you guys are all in on this year as far as trying to maximize whatever can happen this year?
I don't know what year we haven't been all in. We're always all in. At least I try to think we are. But no, like I said, it's just I don't know how the discussion started, but we had a chance to add them, and we did. But we've been all in since we started training camp and OTAs, in my opinion, and that won't change no matter what.
It seems as if you guys are having some receivers not in the right spots, not run the right routes. How much of that is just normal because it happens? How much of that has to do with some of the missed practice time or any other factors?
Well, some of it's attention to detail, but it didn't happen a whole lot. There was just a few instances where that happened, and that can happen from time to time. Guys moving around in different spots, like you said, but guys missing practice from time to time. But for the most part, we got to get that corrected. We made a big meeting about it today and discussed the issues that we have. But really, we're not far off. Like I said, I know it's hard to believe. I've said that a couple weeks now in a row. But with the running game the way it is, we haven't had to have our passing game flourish statistically like everybody wants it to be. But as long as we're winning games, protecting the football, that's the most important thing. Our offense will be able to throw the ball eventually with success.
Jay, last week was one of the first times we saw Adrian kind of be able to wear down an opponent and then have the big one like he used to in Minnesota late in the game. How do you find that sweet spot between getting him enough carries during a game to kind of wear the defense down, but also being realistic about his age, shoulder, and all the other things because you don't want to give him too many carries to burn him out?
Yeah, you're right. That's the tough thing. I really don't ever think about his age or wearing him down. He's never come to me or Randy and said, hey, I need less workload. I need people to come in for me. If that happens, then sure, I'll take it off of him. But he's playing so well right now, and we call a running play, he better be out there. So and no offense to the other backs we have, he's just playing really well. And he's handling the workload right now. So every game's different. This week we might have to throw the ball a little more. They might load up the box where we have to throw it a little bit more. But right now he's in a great place. He's still feeling his way through some of these different types of runs that we have, and he's handling them extremely well. And I expect him to be a major part of our offense moving forward. He has to be right now, the way we're throwing the ball. So once we get the balance to where we want it, I think we can be a lot more effective on offense.
Byron Marshall was out there working today. Is there some update on him?
Yeah, we started his IR thing, so he practiced. So he's going to be one of our guys we'll activate from our IR either next week or the week after.
You just had the other one?
Not yet.
You
No.
get two, right?
Yeah, we get two, yep.
Okay. With Jordan Reed, you've been a part of some teams that have really used him very successfully. What's it going to take to get him and Alex to that level?
Yeah, we targeted him, I think, 10 or 12 times last week. Missed him 4 or 5. So, yeah, I think with some of the routes that he runs, it just takes some getting used to. And that'll come. It should have been here by now, but we just missed uncharacteristically on a couple. Go ball on the outside, we just threw it out of bounds. And a little option route, we overthrew him. And there's some things that we can clean up with Jordan, some things we can clean up with Alex. But for the most part, it's good to get those guys to work and get them on tape and talk about them and move forward. But they'll get it together.
Any update on Trey Quinn, and is it possible still, even though he wasn't out there today, that he could be activated sometime soon from a health standpoint?
Yeah, I think he's very close to being able to practice. If we choose to, it just depends on how he rehabs, and he's close. I think he's running a little bit, he's jogging, but once he gets to be full speed, then we'll make that decision if we want to activate him.
And then Crowder, how likely is it that he's ready by the weekend?
Shoot, I was hoping he'd do something today, but he's still a little sore. So we got to be patient with him. It's the things that he has to do in the slot with cuts and full speed bursts. He's got to be right. So he's not there yet.
And in both of their absence, how do you think Mo Harris has played in the slot, both as a receiver and then also in the running game?
Mo's really good in the running game. As far as blocking, that's one thing. That's part of the reason our success in the running game has been so much better, I should say, is because of Mo Harris and Michael Floyd and the bigger receivers and Josh Doxson's blocking. That's kind of hurt us in the past a little bit. You don't block the safety, it's a gain of 3. You block the safety, it's a gain of 12. So those guys are doing a great job in the running game, which in turn will help out our play actions as we get going.